was really, yeah. So it was a good time.
Hey,
Yeah,
Beth.
it was a great event. Yeah.
Hi. It's nice to see people in person. I can't, as I just said earlier before some of you got on, I can't wait to see you all in person.
Yeah, it really is. It makes a huge difference. After a year, when you first see someone for the first time, it's like, hey.
Well, I'm scheduled for my second shot.
Great.
Oh, good.
How'd you do after your first one?
But
How did you do after your first shot? How did
I
things
was
go?
I was okay. I was okay, and let me politicize it. It was thanks to the AFL-CIO and the NAACP too, who set up a site for, among others, the families of union people, such as my wife, and so that's how I got my Moderna shot up in Nicetown.
Nice, very nice. So I read that as of, I think it's April 16th or 19th, anyone age 6, it pretty much open for anyone. The Biden campaign is 2 weeks ahead of their schedule. I think it's amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
At least we got some hope. And we're seeing that this terrible situation will come to an end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
at least we'll all get to a point where we can have a good herd immunity and be able to see each other.
Mhm.
Yes.
But we're still gonna wear masks.
Uh-huh. And wash our hands and do the social distance thing.
Absolutely. Yes.
And Sam, thank you for having me on early. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
yes. Yeah. I don't know, Beth and Melissa. Mary needs to go early, and I thought we would just have her speak. We don't have a lot of scheduled speakers to this month.
I have to get on another virtual Zoom.
Yes. Thank you for getting us in, and it's just such a critical issue.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this. I got this meeting, the next meeting, all to sit here and talk about these ballot questions.
Beth, Melissa, do you have a sense for if we need to hold up for starting?
No, I'm good. We're live on Facebook, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I don't take any issue, although typically just for the sake of other people logging on, I usually say give everyone until 7:05, but if you guys,
Absolutely. No, you're right.
just for the sake, sometimes people are just like fumbling around or in their car. Maybe I'm talking about me, but
What?
I just want to be fair and give everyone, the doctor's office gives you 15 minutes.
Yes.
The change can give 5.
Yeah, exactly. No. And even though we can't send you out to the bar, where we hope that you have something at home that you can get.
You can order in from Tattooed Moms via Caviar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
We ordered
That's
corn.
what-
They also
Yeah.
have to-go cocktails too.
Yeah, we ordered
Wow.
but
corn.
not for delivery, probably.
No, but
Which I very happily voted for.
I
I
second.
haven't seen you guys in 1,000 years.
Oh. Welcome back.
I know it's been a little nuts. I'm telling you.
Well, I know.
All the candidates that had to do it this cycle. It's insane.
We have.
Coronavirus does
Yeah.
not make a good cycle, man.
I know. Yeah. Sometime they ought to address that. Maybe split city council or something. I don't know. It makes for such a strange cycle.
I'm actually enjoying this cycle. I'm seeing people who are getting involved, who previously did not get involved. We're hearing judges have conversations that were not had previously based on the climate in our country. So I see all the silver linings in the trauma and the tragedy. It's growth. That's what I see. I see political growth happening all around. And it's a good thing because a lot of people are learning and challenging themselves in areas that they did not previously. So, and I'm very proud of the work that we're doing at Philly for Change.
Yep. We've
It's 7:04. We can go ahead because we are on Facebook, as Beth stated. So we can go ahead and get started. Sam.
Yeah, I'm up in the apartment above my house.
Hiding Dorothy.
That is exactly what I'm doing. I hide from Dorothy because Dorothy crashes my wife's classes. My 4-year-old will just be like, "Where's mommy?" And then she'll say, "Daddy, go get me a sandwich." And I'll go into the kitchen, and then she'll just run up the stairs and burst into Laura's into the bedroom where Laura is teaching her class.
Oh, she's slick.
Oh, she really is. She really is good at that kind of misdirection.
Oh, wow.
Is she fluent in French yet?
No, she is not. She is not. She sometimes gets a little angry when mommy is speaking too much French around the house. But she's picking some up.
4 years old, eh?
Is a French professor at Temple. Full professor. Anyway, I guess we're going to get started at 7:05. Welcome to everyone who's here. Welcome to April 2021 Philly for Change meetup. This is a big month because we're getting ready for our Pennsylvania spring primary, and Philly for Change has hosted a lot of the really interesting candidates who are running for office. And so as folks probably know, we have a 60% threshold for endorsement. So folks who are members, folks who have attended at least 2 of our meetings in the past year can vote. And if you get 60% of our support, you get our endorsement. Some folks who are here have been endorsed in the past. D.A. Krasner was endorsed 4 years ago. But we're doing it all anew now. It's a very important election. It's one of those ones that can slide by. We're going to start tonight. We are lucky enough to have State Representative Mary Isaacson, who's going to talk to us about the very critical questions on this year's ballot. So before we get into any endorsements, let's take it away, Mary.
Thanks, and I look forward to somebody telling me how I can vote because I need to leave for another meeting. But okay. You can send me an email. Look, we have 3 ballot questions, and usually these are not things that are of high importance in the sense of circumventing our voting and the judicial discussion at such an event, but they're really critical. And I'm just going to go right into it, okay? Because this way, if you have any questions. Because of COVID, my esteemed colleagues who think they're so much more brilliant than everyone else have put a couple ballot questions on that need to be voted in the primary. They put them on the primary because they're looking for low voter turnout. So we really need to get the voter turnout to defeat these. The first one deals with taking away, I'll read it to you because it's just beautiful. Shall the Pennsylvania Constitution be amended? We're amending the Constitution to change the existing law and increase the powers of the General Assembly to unilaterally terminate or extend a disaster emergency and the powers of the Commonwealth agencies to address this disaster, regardless of its severity, pursuant to that declaration, through passing a concurrent resolution by a simple majority, thereby removing the existing checks and balances of presenting a resolution to the governor for approval or disapproval. Basically, what they're saying is, should the General Assembly be given the powers of the executive office to pass a resolution to do away with a declaration of emergency by being able to pass a concurrent resolution through both chambers, the House and the Senate. Nothing moves in the House and the Senate quickly. We're talking about a disaster emergency. We just went through it. I spent a year voting against, trying to stop the emergency declaration that the governor has had in place that's kept us all safe. And this is not something that we want to support. I'm not for, in any way, shape, or form, amending the Constitution of the Commonwealth to change the separation of powers that we have from the executive branch to the legislative branch. That's it. That is what they are asking you to do. We've been through a pandemic. I understand that people didn't necessarily, there were people in other parts of the Commonwealth that didn't necessarily like the decisions that the governor made, but he based them on science and he kept us safe. And again, nothing in the Pennsylvania General Assembly moves quickly. So if we hand the powers over to having to pass legislation to declare an emergency, that puts all of us at risk. And not only the risk of health, our health institutions, and everything else that goes along with it, but you got to remember, with the declaration of an emergency, it's what makes federal funding available to us, which we've seen is so very important as the money has been flowing out of Washington, because the money is certainly not flowing in Pennsylvania. We have a budget deficit we're about to fill a hole with federal money. So it's really important to make people understand amending the Constitution to shift powers from the executive branch to the legislative branch and an act of the legislature, which we all know does not move quickly. And it's very diverse. There's 203 in the House, there's 50 in the Senate, and you have very diverging views from all over the Commonwealth. We want, you have an election statewide for a governor to give him the executive powers. It's the majority rule. And they don't like that, sorry, we have the majority. And that's what they're trying to change. And we have to make sure that in plain language, we make people understand that that's what's at stake. Federal funding, being able to keep people safe and act quickly. So then we come to the second question, because they really were afraid maybe that one wouldn't pass. So they added one that's very similar, that's really going to confuse voters. And this one is, shall the Pennsylvania Constitution again be amended to change the existing law so that a disaster emergency declaration will expire automatically after 21 days, regardless of the severity of the declaration, whether it be flooding, a pandemic, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The 21 days, it's automatically extinguished until the General Assembly can take action again. It does that. What's happened is the governor has declared a state of emergency through this pandemic and kept re-upping it every few months. And sooner or later, he'll be able to do away with it on his own declaration. They want to say after 21 days, they want to amend the Constitution that it automatically expires. The governor has no power to re-up it, regardless of where we are, without an act of the General Assembly. So this is why I'm out there trying to really educate people to understand we have to educate the public, because these questions are on the ballot in this primary. Yeah, they're very clearly stated. I've read them. What I read was what's going to be on the ballot. But when people ask you, I want you to really understand what is going on and what's at stake. I, as a member of the General Assembly, I do not want that. I did not run for governor. I don't want that burden on my head. My job as a legislator is to deal with budgets and money. You know, and it's not to sit there and make a statewide decision sitting from my state house seat in, you know, by the Liberty Bell. It's just, I'm not supposed to speak. The governor is elected statewide. We empower the executive branch to make this decision. And it's an awful thought to even think that we're going to amend the Constitution, not just pass a law. They want to amend the Constitution to put this language in there so that we would have to go through 2 sessions and another ballot question to undo it. There's no undoing it once it gets into the Constitution without going through this process again. That's how important it is. And then the kicker is there's a 3rd ballot question that we should all really vote for. It's not really necessary, but they kind of throw it in as a kicker to try and get people to vote for it. And that is, shall the Constitution be amended to add a new section that provides for the equal rights under the law for individuals of race and ethnicity? We already have that. They threw that in to try and get people to vote for these bills, these resolutions when they were going through. So I don't want to take up too much time. If you have any questions, just ask them. But I think hopefully I made this very, very clear on how important it is not to amend the Constitution to change executive branch powers with legislative branch powers.
Mary, can you say what the 3rd one does again?
Shall the Pennsylvania Constitution be amended by adding a new section providing that equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged because of an individual's race or ethnicity? That's already federal law.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it was thrown in there to try and be a diversionary tactic when we were passing this, so that people wouldn't vote against it, so they could say, you can't vote against somebody getting equal rights. It should have never been in the same resolution, but it was. So now you have 3 questions. 21 days, automatic denial of any emergency declaration. The first one is unilaterally terminating an emergency declaration by the legislature over the executive. And of course, we like the 3rd one, so why not put it in our Constitution that no one should be discriminated against? So I'd say yes, yes, no. Yeah, oh, no, no, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Can I ask a question on the
Sure.
3rd one?
Yeah.
So my question is just on the 3rd one. I noticed that in the legislature, most of the Dems voted against it. I know one of the criticism of it is it's not broad enough. But is your recommendation, nevertheless, to vote for the 3rd one anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a feel good. I mean, if I had been queen for the day, would I have put in, you know, sexual orientation? Absolutely. But you know, you can't discuss such things on the House floor in Pennsylvania.
Right.
But no, I mean, yeah, would it be great to put it in our Constitution and codify it? Sure. So the 3rd one's fine.
Okay.
But the first 2, you don't want to amend the Constitution, changing the balance of powers. You're about to vote on judges who are supposed to interpret the law. Why would that's the 3rd branch of government that's sitting there being a check and balance. We have checks and balances both in our federal Constitution and in our state Constitution. They're trying to change the balance of power. And we've seen in this pandemic that we needed an adult in the room at all times, and we had one, whether they liked his decisions or not. Yes, John.
I mean, why are the Republicans pushing for these 2 amendments? Is it just a stick it to the libs thing, or just denial or QAnon conspiracy theorizing? What the hell were they thinking?
Very simple. And you're attached to a very big state. We in the People's Republic of Philadelphia, very much like our home rule, but you're attached to a very large state, and they think they're smarter than everyone else. And they think that if they can cobble up enough votes together, that it should supersede a duly elected official statewide in making decisions. And there's 203 of us, and right now my party is down to 9. Where do you think that vote would go? Meanwhile, we have the most populous area of the state, which is why this is a statewide referendum, and we need to show our strength from Philadelphia. And your friends in the surrounding counties and every populous area, I hope that you'll join me in making this a statewide effort to defeat these 2 ballot questions.
Real bunch of geniuses you got to deal with.
It's the maskless nation.
Oh, and another.
I say that smiling because I've dealt with it for a year, and it's been really frustrating.
Mary, just one more thing. Unrelated topic. You know how there are 4 female Republican legislators who are pushing this idea to bar trans kids from participating in girls' sports. I mean, transgender kids are the new scapegoat for the Republicans, along with Asian Americans. And
I agree with you, and that's a much larger conversation. And I would be happy to come and spend an evening talking about all the insane ideas that I'm dealing with this session. But if I get into that, we're going to go on forever. And you guys we have a lot of voting to do. I have another meeting to get to because I want to make sure that I can get to every group possible to start spreading this word. It's April. This election is in May. We have a month to make on ballot questions. We have a month to do an advocacy on ballot questions. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity, because I really wanted to make sure that everyone understood how, even though they seem, something all the way down at the bottom of the ballot, as the mail-in ballots are about to go out, we really need to make sure that we're getting the word out to people that they need to vote against these.
Yeah, I would just say, tell your friends and neighbors and relatives too, because they're going to be getting their ballots soon too. This is critical, and like as Mary said, it's been under the radar of a lot of people.
Mary, is there a 4th ballot measure?
Nope, those 3.
Just 3. Okay, thanks. I don't know why I thought there were 4. Thanks.
Now, there's a whole lot of judges on here that are waiting, and I was a candidate, so I know how anxiety-ridden it could be. And if we want to come back in May and talk about it again, I'm more than happy to, but I'm going to stop it here. And again, like I said, I'm more than happy to come back and talk about it again for May. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me know how to vote.
Okay. Well, we'll do. Yeah. People are going to get an email to
Great. All right. Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mary.
Do we want to take a moment here, Beth, and do you want to explain the voting?
Yeah, sure. So if you were with us last year during the endorsement process, believe it or not, this is our 2nd virtual process we've had to go through. I can't believe that. But anyway, you may recall we did a Google form where as long as you'd been to 2 meetings in the past year, you were eligible to vote. We will email you the link. Now, we know that attendance at the virtual meetings is a little bit difficult to track, and there are people who are watching on Facebook Live, which is even harder to track. We will be a little bit flexible with, with the membership requirement. I think we want to make sure that anybody who believes they're eligible to vote is able to vote. But anyway, we will send out that Google form link to you tonight after the meeting. You'll have a week to vote, and you can vote for as many candidates as there are seats in available for the office. So for DA, for example, you can only vote for one, but for Court of Common Pleas, you can vote for up to 8. And a candidate must receive 60% of the people voting in order to get our endorsement. So it's a pretty high threshold. But you know, we've had a lot of great people come through, and we have only listed candidates who have come and presented to Philly for Change on our endorsement ballot. So I think that's it.
Yeah, and if you do have a candidate whom you wish to vote for who didn't visit us, while that was probably a long shot, there is also a space for writing in a name as well.
Yeah.
If there are there any questions? So basically, if you were on the list, you'll receive the ballot. If you think that you should have received the ballot, just email me, and you know, I'll check. But if everything checks out, I will.
I had a question, Sam.
Sure. Hi, Natalie.
Yes, hi. I should unmute myself.
You're all right.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave relatively early because of family obligations, but the meetings which I attended didn't have to be the meetings with the judges, right? Because
any two meetings.
You were
definitely
there.
3 or 4.
Yeah, and we do have the nice thing about being virtual is that we were able to record all of the meetups where everybody spoke. And so we've posted those on our brand new YouTube channel. You should subscribe, and you can review what they had to say in case you weren't able to join us or you forgot or whatever. So I'll put the link to the YouTube channel in the chat, and it's also linked from the endorsement form.
Thank you.
And I've been including the link to the YouTube channel in our emails, and so if you look around, it's in there as well. But yeah, we're very lucky in the sense that we have this resource. If you want to go back and hear people talk before you cast your ballot, you can have a week to cast your ballot. You know, you can vote at any time. You can go back and check it out. Hear people talk before you cast your ballot. You can have a week to cast your ballot. Okay. I seem to have been on a loop.
All right, I think we're good now. I don't know what that was.
I think my house is haunted.
It's Dorothy, Sam. It's just Dorothy. I'm telling
Yeah, you know what? She does try to imitate me sometimes, but I don't think she's got that good. What we do now is we give time for people to advocate for those who are on our ballot. And you know, like I said, we've had an impressive array of speakers come through. So I don't know. Are there any folks who want to advocate for someone?
Well, I will.
Go ahead, Marla.
I mean, I think it's idle, but I want to advocate for Larry Krasner. I think that the Inquirer did a job on him on Sunday, and I was not happy. In part, is because the cases he's getting are not very good, but he was probably a little bit negatively affected by what the commissioner said, that they should convict more people for violation of the Uniform Firearms Act. You know, then I don't think that that's related to the tremendous violence we are seeing, but still, I think he needs our help, all the help we can give. That's it. That's what I wanted to say. Of the judges I saw for small claims court, I liked of those I heard, Tamika Washington. Was that the name?
Right.
I'll listen to the others.
Sam, should we go maybe office by office with that?
Sure, that probably makes sense. Do we want to start with DA or start with the judges?
I think
Can we do it in ballot order?
I think it's fair to start with at least, you know, the top of the ticket, the state Supreme Court, Superior, Commonwealth, Court of Common Pleas, Municipal Court, and District Attorney.
Okay, that's fine with me. Yeah. The state Supreme Court would be first then. I'll look at my ballot here.
Yeah, so we had one candidate for state Supreme Court. That was Maria McLaughlin, Judge Maria McLaughlin. And I'll start us off if nobody else is ready. I think it's really important that we support her. The balance of the Supreme Court is at risk in this election. It's got one more Democrat than Republican currently. And so this seat will make sure that it stays that way. The Supreme Court is our last stop before, well, it's our last stop for legislation that our majority Republican legislature may pass that's not great, especially when you think about women's reproductive rights and things like that. So I think that it's very important that we support Maria in her quest for the Supreme Court.
And I just want to piggyback on what Beth's saying. Maria, along with Judge Doherty, would be our voices in the city of Philadelphia. You know, Philadelphia, we all know that we get a bad rap, but we also know that our city is the economic engine of the large state. And we just want to make sure that we have representation that can protect us. And God knows, if not for the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court, where would we be right now with this current presidential election? We know what happened with the Commonwealth Court.
Absolutely.
We know what they did when it came to overturning ballots. And know that if not for that last gatekeeper, our state Supreme Court, we wouldn't have had that decision overturned if we did not have, you know, the makeup that we have now. So to save our country, we need to have some well-balanced individuals on that bench making the best decisions for us all. So Maria McLaughlin is our only Democratic candidate on the ticket against 3 Republicans. And if there was ever a time for us to come together and get behind one Democratic candidate, I think now is the time for the Commonwealth.
I'll just add that Malcolm Kenyatta reached out to me, and he very strongly suggested that we endorse Maria McLaughlin. That says a lot to me. And I just have been, you know, the wherewithal to win that race is incredibly important. And I have been impressed by McLaughlin and her campaign. So for all of those reasons, I would advocate for our joining others and endorsing Maria McLaughlin.
I did voter registration tables in front of Connie's Rick Rack the last several weekends, and this last weekend Maria came at 9:30 in the morning, and she was so Philly, and so she was just the greatest salesperson in terms of like actually getting her name out there and getting people to take the second wards slate and our voter guide and all of that stuff, and getting people to register and apply to vote by mail. And I was just absolutely enthralled with Maria as like a human being. And I think she will also be an amazing Supreme Court justice.
Awesome.
I'm going to say something horrible. She's, even if she was the worst, she's the only Democrat. I'm glad she's not. I'm glad she's wonderful. But my God, with who was it who just said what the Supreme Court did for us? We could even have let the Republicans steal the election in Pennsylvania if it hadn't been for the Supreme Court.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay. Melissa, what would the next be?
The next one is the Superior Court, and the candidates, of course, are Judge Tamika Lane, Attorney Jill Beck, and Attorney Brian Neft out of Pittsburgh, Allegheny County.
Okay, does anyone have any?
And there's one seat open.
Wait, isn't David Spurgeon also in there?
No, that is Commonwealth Court.
Oh, okay, my mistake, sorry.
Yeah, we're on the Superior Court. And as Beth stated, there's one seat available. We have 3 candidates on the Democratic ticket, and that is Attorney Brian Neff, Attorney Jill Beck, and Judge Tamika Lane from here in Philadelphia. And let's face it, the Superior Court can see up to 8,000 appeals annually. That's a huge volume of appeals. And we need someone on the court that, other than Judge Carolyn Nichols, okay, but if we're going to call for diversity, it's important to be of action and not just of words. Having a state of this magnitude and having an appellate court level with 1 out of 31 appellate court justices Black is I can't even find the words. So I'm gonna endorse or support Judge Tamika Lane, because Judge Tamika Lane is currently serving on the bench here in Philadelphia. She sees the cases, she hears the stories. She was born and raised in our neighborhoods and our streets, and the cases on appeal that go to her, if she's elected to Superior Court, these are stories and people that she can relate to and she can understand, whereas someone coming from a completely different walk of life may believe what's on the news, may go with the biases, may go with the narratives. We see it play out. So I think it's important that we have more than 1 Black woman on that bench.
Yeah, I agree with Melissa, and I can't remember if it's the Superior Court or the Commonwealth Court where there are no Black people at all currently.
It's the Commonwealth Court.
It's the Commonwealth Court, okay. But even so, in a state that is as large as ours, I agree with Melissa that better, more representation by diverse people is better, in my opinion. If the court looks all the same, that is not going to represent the majority of Pennsylvanians. So I agree. Judge Tamika Lane is, I think, a great candidate.
Does anyone else want to speak about any of the other candidates running for that seat? I'll just add that I was very impressed by the endorsements that Tamika Lane has, and I think it included a lot of our local folks in Harrisburg, friends of Philly for Change, and I thought that was very impressive. What's our next? What's up next?
The next is the Commonwealth Court, and our candidates are, who is very present with us, our own Judge Lori Dumas, Judge Sierra Street, Judge David Spurgeon, and Amanda Green Hawkins. And they are the 4 Democratic candidates that I think it's fair to say that they all spoke in front of Philly for Change. I know that they all presented, didn't they? Yeah, so, and it's 2 seats available, so we get to vote for 2 people. And as Beth said, that is the court that has 0 diversity. It's an entire white bench, right? So again, we know that the Commonwealth Court is a court that sees cases, environmental cases, cases around our juvenile justice system. We know that they see cases that have to do with elections, because we know that the Commonwealth Court was responsible for that reprehensible decision that came out that said, hey, we're going to overturn ballots. So we really need representation on that bench. And our own Judge Lori Dumas, who has been on the bench and served proudly and done some remarkable work, really remarkable work, especially around trafficking. I think it's fair to say that we should all put our support behind Judge Dumas. And I also want to say that I'd like to put my support behind Judge Sierra Street. I listened to her history. I listened to her experience, her journey to where she is. And we all know what happens with underdogs. Underdogs are sometimes the people who never, ever stop fighting and never give up. And people don't believe in them, and these people persevere and they rise. So, and not only that, we need to be able to show Pennsylvania that, hey, it is not okay to continuously ignore our brilliant Black women who are on the bench in the city of Philadelphia, sometimes seeing the most and hearing the most horrific cases. I mean, the most horrific cases, and then themselves being discriminated against. Let it be known on this call that I hope you all know that there was a note passed to Judge Simmons, and someone said to her, there will never be a NB president judge. In 2020, there was a note passed to Judge Simmons reminding her what they will never have. We're talking about women who have gone to school, become attorneys, become judges, sat on the bench, but racism still permeates our justice system. And if we are going to be Philly for change, then let the change begin with making sure that we have Black leadership on the bench and representing and understanding.
Sam or Melissa, I know in the past when we were all together, we had usually asked candidates to leave the room when we were discussing their race so that there wasn't any awkwardness if people wanted to say something about another candidate or whatever. Maybe that's too hard to do right now.
I think I'm the only Commonwealth candidate here, but yeah. I can leave. It's okay. I don't want to intrude. But I just want to say hello to everyone. Good evening. And I will excuse myself, but thank you. And I don't mind. Okay. So I'm going to say good night. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Judge Dumas, sorry.
Thank you, Judge Dumas. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, but thank you.
Thank you. At least I got to hear all the good things. So thank you.
About you.
Bye-bye.
And I will say, I know that we have all our Commonwealth candidates here, and I think I can create a breakout room for you guys to go to, so you don't have to leave the Zoom, and if you want to come back after. So we can do that in case, you know, if you guys want to stay on but not be in the room, so to speak.
Oh, great, Beth. That'll be wonderful for you.
Awesome. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, well, so anyway, any other comments about any of our Commonwealth Court candidates? And as a reminder, those are Amanda Green Hawkins, Judge David Spurgeon, Judge Sierra Street, and Judge Lori Dumas.
Yeah.
The thing I said about Maria also totally goes for Lori. Just being there and interacting with voters. You know, of course, there's all of, you know, the legal ramifications and constitutional ramifications of like what any of them are going to do, and that's dire. But like seeing somebody actually on the street, trying to get the votes is awesome.
Has the second ward endorsed anyone for that court?
We endorsed Lori. We, in many of the, I think in everything except for controller and DA, we didn't endorse like the full amount that you can vote for.
Got it. Yeah, and Philip James doesn't have to endorse. Of course, we have a 60% threshold. If candidates get above 60%, but not we, you know, some years we don't end up endorsing a lot of judges, but I think just given the nature of this cycle, I think we saw a lot of impressive people. It was easier for people to come out to hear judges because they didn't have to come out. So I think we have a good chance of endorsing some good candidates. Okay. If there's not anything else, well, what is our next bench?
I think that, you know, we got through all of the appellate court. So now, Beth, we're looking at the municipal court and the court of common pleas. And for those judges who are currently on the call, who are running for either the municipal court or the court of common pleas, I'm pretty sure Beth by now has created a breakout room. If you guys just want to zap over there.
I think I have to send you there, but I'm going to do that right now. And I think it'll pop up and tell you you are allowed to go there. So please do that. Okay, actually, I think there's only 2 candidates left. Okay, so did I get any, are there any other Commonwealth Court candidates still on? I mean, Common Pleas candidates still in? I don't think so. Rania, you're municipal, right?
I think she's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So I think we're good now.
And just sorry, my mistake. Second ward also endorsed David Spurgeon.
Good to know. Okay, so we're at the Commonwealth.
No, Common Pleas.
Common Pleas. I keep doing that. Sorry.
Court of Common Pleas, CCP.
Yeah, there are 8 seats available on the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia, and we had coincidentally 8 candidates who joined us. They are in no particular order: Craig Levin, Tamika Washington, Chris Hall, Wendy Barish, Michelle Hangley, Nick Kamau, Greg Yorgi Gertie, and Betsy Wall. So who would like to say something about any one of these candidates, or more than one of these candidates?
Greg's running for municipal court.
Greg is running for municipal court?
Yep.
Oh, my mistake. I will fix our endorsement form.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to say that two of the candidates that are running for the seat were appointed, Kateria McCabe and Mark Moore. And I know that you all have to know Mark Moore. He's been around for a long time doing really, really great work. And they were both appointed. And of course, they have to run for their seat. I ran into them both last night and I saw them and they presented, and I just want to advocate for them, you know, for the people who are on the call. If you do know Mark Moore, if you do know Kateria McCabe, it is definitely worth you all doing research to find out about them and their backgrounds and the work that they've done since they've been on the bench.
And you can write in additional candidates who maybe did not present to us, if you want to. So you certainly can choose to vote for those candidates or any of the other many candidates that there are.
Yeah, there's like a ton. And also I just want to say, you all know Michelle Hangley. Well, Michelle has run a couple times, and although she's soft-spoken, her work speaks for herself. Michelle is a person that I believe in my heart will. I think that she's running for all of the right reasons. Michelle's done a lot of election work, and she was like a victim of Trump supporters throughout the campaign. I don't know if you guys know that or not. She's a very quiet woman, but she worked really, really hard to protect our election as an attorney by working with the state and the Commonwealth. And I do believe that Michelle would do a fine job on the bench. I do believe that if anyone went before Michelle, Michelle would really, put any biases aside and give that person a fair shake. She's a very quiet woman, but I support Michelle. I've talked to her in the past. I've recently talked to her, and she's a person that I really, really, really have faith in.
I would add my advocacy of Michelle Hangley. First thing that Philly for Change people should know, when we needed a lawyer to come and talk about the legal goings on when there was the second impeachment, we turned to progressive lawyer Michelle Hangley. And you should also know that Michelle is someone, as Melissa said, who worked on, I believe, like 20 of the cases surrounding the 2020 election. Protecting our vote in Pennsylvania. That she was asked, that she performed so well, that's a big deal. And I think she's also one of the people who's gotten who is highly recommended. So I think Michelle, who's been a friend to Philly for Change, is kind of a slam dunk for me.
Also, I want to, Wendy Barish, you guys know Wendy, I don't even, Wendy is just, she's just a really, really good person. Before you even talk about her being an attorney or running to be a judge, she's just a good person. She does the work that most attorneys would not take on. Wendy works for the Philadelphia Housing Authority, and if you ask Wendy anything, she jumps into action then. She doesn't hesitate. She goes into her own personal network and uses whatever resources to fight for you. Wendy is no nonsense, and I am excited for her, and I pray to God that you all vote for her and that she wins, because we need her.
I would second both of those, as a matter of fact, Wendy and Michelle.
Same here. I mean, I would just remind Philly for Change endorsement voters, Wendy Barish shows up. Wendy Barish was a Philly for Change member when we were meeting at Tattooed Mom. If you had a legal question that you wanted to have someone go into a corner and talk to you about, Wendy Barish was there. Wendy Barish is a great person, and my goodness, her background with PHA makes her someone that if when I think of people whom I would like to see on the bench, I certainly think of Wendy Barish. So she will certainly be getting one of my votes.
I know that there are other people here who want to talk about some of these candidates.
Yeah. There were some candidates who knocked me on my ass when I saw them. Anyone?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot talk because I heard so few. But in the evening that I was present, I was most impressed with Tamika Washington. I thought she said the right things. And unlike another gentleman who was there, to whom I asked a question, to which he did not respond, he kept saying that he was a people's lawyer and he wanted to be the people's judge. Well, that doesn't say very much. When I asked him what was his experience seeing the judges at the Common Pleas Court, he didn't say anything. I'm sorry, Tamika Washington knew what she was going to do and the court she was going to run for. She seemed very together. But I repeat, I didn't see the others, and I'm going to follow your advice and vote and go to Facebook and also vote for those you endorsed.
I think Crystal has her hand up, Crystal, and then Jenny has her hand up as well.
Thank you, Melissa. I agree with everything that you all been saying about Michelle Hangley and Wendy Barish in particular. I cannot express to you how much work Michelle has done with all those former president voter fraud cases. It was just an unbelievable amount of work. And she's a delight. We're going to be neighbors soon. She's just very nice, and whenever I have an issue I need to talk to her about, she's always there, and she's very highly recommended by the Bar Association. That is a big deal. She's one of 5, I think 4 or 5 judge candidates, I should say, and always Wendy Barish, because I really can't say anything bad about Wendy ever. She's a tremendously well-liked person. She does a tremendous amount of work with the community, career wardrobe, all that kind of stuff. I also really like Craig Levin. I have been on several of these judicial calls. The reclaim one, there's a couple of union ones I've been on, and I've been very impressed by how he also presents himself. So those are my 3 main recommendations right now. But most judicial candidates I've seen so far have been really been doing a good job, considering, you know, the forums I had to go to and these Zoom calls, like 8,000 people on them. But yeah, right now it's Wendy, Michelle, and Craig for me.
I'll second Marguerite.
Jenny had her hand raised. Jenny,
That's okay. All right. Well, I will be brief because Melissa, Sam, and Crystal already covered Michelle's strengths really thoroughly, and her work to protect democracy and why she's in the race for judge. You've covered that really well, and I appreciate it so much. I came here tonight to advocate for Michelle. My name is Jenny Hudeman-Eileyorg. I am a longtime friend of Michelle. And I am not an unbiased supporter of Michelle. I do volunteer for her campaign, full disclosure. But I feel like that has given me a really up close window into Michelle and why she's doing this. And I feel it's really been a privilege for me to just see how passionate she is about the people of Philadelphia and about really making a meaningful difference in people's lives. And that is why she's in this. She learned herself that judges have to make really brave decisions. She learned that early when a judge made a decision that girls would be able to attend Central High School, and that allowed her to attend Central High School. So, you know, she comes by that honestly. It affected her own life, and she wants to be able to impact other lives in Philadelphia just like that. And she also knows and understands and believes deeply that Philadelphia's greatest strength is its diversity. And she's always worked for causes pro bono, supporting that. She's worked for the Pennsylvania Innocence Project and ACLU, challenging wrongful conditions. And she's been a board member of Nationality Service Center, you know, helping resettle refugees and supporting immigrants. So yeah, she cares about this city very, very much and wants very much to make, you know, have that direct impact on people's lives, because judges really do. They hold the power to give someone a chance or not. And she knows how important that is and what a great responsibility it is. So thank you so much.
I have some comments from Facebook Live, which I'm super excited about because I feel like this is the first time that somebody's commented on Facebook Live that I can share. So hooray. So Jim Jenkins, who some folks might know, says that he is a big fan of Craig Levine. He's not just helping our party all the time, he is everywhere helping. And he also says that he likes me. So thanks, Jim, for chiming in on Facebook Live. And who else? Anyone else?
I also just want to jump in there about Craig. Sam, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You've been trying to get in.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, Craig, you know, I don't know Craig personally. I've met him and I've talked to him a couple times, but I've talked to a lot of other people about Craig. And what I found increasingly is that Craig has really been out there on the ground doing the work, helping a lot of people very quietly, but getting the job done and getting results. And he's a man that a lot of people say that they go to and they trust, and that he's really been there. And yeah, so I've heard nothing but good things about Craig Levin. So, and I saw him last night again, and of course he did a great job. So yeah, I'm with you there, Jim Jenkins, about Craig.
I was just going to say that I'm very happy that the person who commented on Facebook Live wasn't my mother.
Oh my God.
Not very many people know, but I am so glad my mother is not commenting on Facebook Live, because there was a threat that that might happen.
God, Sam, poor guy. You got your mom railroading you from one end, you got Dorothy setting you up.
I love my mother. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my mother. I don't need her commenting on Facebook Live. Anyway, and I talk to her every day since the pandemic. So there you go. I also wanted to say that like Magali, I was very impressed by Tamika Washington. I must say, I'm definitely voting for Michelle and Wendy and others, but I was really knocked out by Tamika Washington. No one else has mentioned him, but I also was very impressed by Nick Kamau.
Yes.
Yeah, so was I. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so was I. It really was.
Yeah. We have a lot of really great candidates.
I know.
Yeah, you're right. Well, for 8 seats, we definitely this time can vote very confidently in the people that we're electing. And I talked to my daughter, who's 21 years old, who told me, "Hey, Mom, there's this really nice attorney that I know that works really great." I said, "Who's this person?" And she said, "Her name is Tamika Washington." And she didn't even know that she was running for judge, but she's over doing work in probate, and I think she said orphans court. So yeah, and Beth, you're right. We do have a very impressive bunch of candidates this cycle.
Yeah. I would also like to speak up about some of these candidates. Now, in full disclosure, I am the treasurer for Wendy Barish's campaign, so obviously I'm a big fan of hers and a supporter of hers. Wendy wants to make sure that everybody who comes into her courtroom is treated equally and fairly and without bias. And she is very aware of her own and others' unconscious bias. And so she takes steps to try and cancel that out by, being aware of it. She's able to address it. The other thing that I think is pretty fun about Wendy is that even though there are lots of people across the city who disagree on a lot of things, but I think they all agree that Wendy will make a great judge. And that is evident in the endorsements she's been getting from all different kinds of groups. So that's my plug for Wendy. I am also a very big fan of Michelle Hangley. She's done such important work in not just in the last election cycle, but especially in the last election cycle to protect the votes of Pennsylvanians and make sure that our votes were counted. She stood up to some pretty big bullies from the other side. And, I think that strength of character is an important quality on the bench. I also was very impressed by Tamika Washington when she spoke to us, and at a number of other events that I've seen her at. I think that her perspective will be very valuable on the Philadelphia bench. And like many others have said, Craig Levin has shown up. He shows up. He's been everywhere. Everywhere I've been, he's been, and I think that's important, right? He's out there getting to know the people of Philadelphia and making sure that they know him. And then lastly, no, not lastly, I have two more. Like I said, lots of candidates I really like. I was also very impressed by Nick Kamau. I did not know him before this election cycle, but when he presented to us, I thought that he had a lot of really good things to say. I think his perspective on what it means to be a judge was really, really good and solid. I liked what he had to say. And I want to also echo what Melissa said about Kateria McCabe. She has been serving as a judge. She was appointed. And I think that even though she didn't present to us, I think that she has the temperament, she has the experience, and she has the knowledge to continue to be a really excellent judge in Philadelphia. So maybe that's me saying I have a lot of people I support, but we get to pick 8. So I think that's great. I probably missed some too. I think I'm gonna have a really hard time choosing my 8 this year because we have so many good choices. I see a couple people have their hands up. I'm just gonna go across my screen. Karen, do you wanna go next?
Yes, thank you. Like Beth, I also have a horse in the race in terms of someone I'm actually working with, and that's Michelle Hangley. But even before I began working with her, I was very supportive of her. And I can't overstate how heroic I think she is, really. I mean, she, the Supreme Court and other higher Pennsylvania courts, did God's work basically in, the decisions they made in the 2020 election. And, were it not for Michelle's strong advocacy, and also federal court, in front of Republican judges, were it not for Michelle's strong advocacy in more than 20 cases, things could have gone sideways. I mean, she really made a huge difference in more than 20, like all the major cases you've heard about. I think she was, handled, was a lead attorney in, or the lead attorney in. Anyway, but I think that and, the fact that she was one of the first 6 girls to dare to attend this storied all boys school, in the face of major backlash against these girls attending, just speak volumes about her character, her courage, her the strength of her convictions about doing what is right, what she feels is right and just and fair, and standing up for those things. She also just worked super hard in 2020. I mean, like lots of all-nighters, and for over a year. And she represented the governor in the 2018 gerrymandering case, helping to ensure that we have the much fairer districts that we now have. And she has, as a result, not just gotten highly recommended by the Bar Association, and is one of just 5 who has, but she's also just one of 4 candidates for Common Pleas Court who has gotten the endorsements of all of the open wards that have voted so far, all 7 of them. And also gotten the endorsement of Working Families Party, and been recommended for endorsement by Reclaim. Senator Saval has endorsed her, Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, Senator Williams, and I think that's all I really have to add. Everyone else covered everything else. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Okay, next is John has his hand up.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to say a word real quick. I'm Sean Murphy. I'm also have a horse in the race in Chris Hall, who's running for Common Pleas. Just wanted to put in a plug for him. He's obviously running amongst really, apologies, my cat is crying. He's running amongst a really, well-qualified a list of candidates, obviously, and that you've all spoken about. And I just wanted to just say a few words about him. He's also highly recommended by the Bar Association. Like Karen just said, one of 5 candidates. He's also been endorsed by many of the open wards. I've been active in the last few years in the 1st ward, and he's been endorsed by them, the 2nd ward, the 9th ward, and the 30th ward, amongst others. He's done a lot of work, over his over 30-year career. He won the first environmental justice case in Pennsylvania, prosecuting a asbestos dumper who was dumping asbestos over in Cobbs Creek, and got justice for that. He's also won due process civil rights cases in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Amongst the ward endorsements, he's also been endorsed by State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, by a lot of labor organizations, by the by Working Families Party as well. And I think he would be a great asset to the bench as well. So I appreciate you. Just even though I have a horse in race, just wanted to say that as well. Thank you.
Brian, I see that you have your hand up.
Thanks. I couldn't find my unmute.
Hi, good evening. I'll be very brief since many more eloquent and articulate people than I have already spoken to many of the points that I would have made. And I have an admittedly not unbiased shout out to give to Wendy Barish as well. One of the things that I think is most striking about her campaign is that she's not a politician. She's a progressive humanitarian. She's a feminist. She's a proud progressive Democrat, in that order, or in no particular order, really. She's running because she's running not because she wants to, because she recognizes the need for a jurist to sit on the Court of Common Pleas, who recognizes implicit bias, who recognizes how much the extent to which, when someone is sentenced, you're sentencing an entire family. She recognizes the gravity of the issues at stake. She always gives whatever she has, not what she needs to, not what she can, not what she thinks might be pragmatic, but what she kind of has to give. I think in the last year or so, she's cut back her membership on boards to like 3 or 4 or something like that. She has just an incredible and adept legal mind. But her working class background really grounds her. It's always a grounding experience to speak to her and to listen to her. And, in a time of gerrymandering and entrenched partisanship and people who on the other side of the aisle don't seem to believe that reality is real, her ability to get endorsements from trade unions, the Carpenters Building Trades Council asked me, District 47, a number of sheet metal workers, Building Trades Council, I think I said the morning, 27th Ward, 30th Ward, 8th Ward, 9th Ward, Liberty City. I know I'm leaving out a bunch of endorsements. I think really speaks to the breadth and depth of support that she's garnered in the city. So I just want to give a shout out to her on those merits.
Thank you, Brian. That was wonderful. Is there anyone else that has not had the opportunity to advocate for any of the candidates for the Court of Common Pleas? Go right ahead if you want to. The floor is wide open before we move along to municipal court.
We do have one more comment from Jim Jenkins on Facebook Live. He says that Wendy gets the vote of the rescue pups. So anybody who knows her knows that she loves to spend time with rescue dogs who are waiting for adoption. And so yes.
Beth, I know that we have one candidate on the call that is for the municipal court. I know that you had moved the other candidates.
Let me bring back the CCP candidates. Okay, maybe that worked. I think that worked. Okay, and then I will, Rania, I will send you to the breakout room. Or did she leave? No.
I think,
she's there. Okay.
Yeah, there she is.
Okay, Rania, sign to. We're like using all of our technology here today. So. Okay, so Rania, she may not be there, but maybe she physically left her room. But I did. I think she'll have to click on the button to actually go to the breakout room. But it looks like she's not actually there. All right.
Yeah,
well, I think we could go ahead. There
I think I just put her there, Beth.
Yeah, she had to click on a I think she had to click on a button to actually go. But anyway, it looks like she went.
So now is the time for anyone, if you have any, see, Rania is trying to, you see her trying to get back in now? Admit her, I'm gonna admit her in and just let her know. Rania, are you there? Yeah, you're there. There she is. Rania?
Rania, I'm going to try and put you in the breakout room again. You should be able to, all right, hold on.
I'm just gonna zap her there. I see that I can do it.
Okay.
So I just zapped her there again. I'm sorry.
Fine.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, and for anyone that's on the call right now, if you have any of the candidates who are currently running for the municipal court that you want to support and advocate for, of course, go right ahead, raise your hand and have at it. And most of the time, it gets to be a bit confusing because most candidates cross-file for both Court of Common Pleas and municipal court, and there are some candidates that specifically want to serve on the bench in municipal court because of the kinds of cases that they see before it goes to CCP. So we all know that Rania is running for the municipal court, and I can tell you this about Rania. Rania's office is in one of the toughest neighborhoods in the city of Philadelphia. It's, you know, if someone ran into Rania's office or banging on the door saying, I just got shot or something, Rania's not the kind of attorney that's going to run away. She's really not. And she serves some of the most difficult clients in the city that most attorneys turn away. And the woman works hard, really hard all of the time. And I've known Rania for quite a while. And talk about showing up year after year after year after year. She works, and she shows up and she shows up. And she's a good person. She will do whatever she can to help you or to be of service. And I think it's fine time that we get behind someone that's she wasn't raised. I'm pretty sure Rania is from Chicago. If anyone's on the call that knows, I think she's from Chicago, but she's been in Philadelphia for a very long time, and she's been working her butt off. And like I said, the neighborhood that she's in and the kind of clients that she has, she takes on. She sees some of the most dangerous criminals and some of the most challenging cases, and she takes them on as an attorney. and does not turn a blind eye to those people that, let's face it, sometimes our society casts a certain kind of person away. Well, Rania doesn't do that. So I think it's important that we have good representation on that bench. And I know that Rania would do very well there. Also, there's a gentleman by the name of Michael Lambert, who's running for municipal court specifically. He's not a filer either. And he has an office on Rising Sun Avenue. Again, he has an office in a very challenging area where a lot goes on. And, you know, he has his fair share, of clients, but he fights hard. He believes in community, which is why his office is located right there in the middle of Lawncrest. And, he serves the public. So I definitely would like to see a person like Michael get on the bench. And I'm not sure if what other candidates that are cross-filing. That's just the thing. Beth, can you help me out here?
Yes, I've got that. So there are 3 seats available on the municipal court this time, and the candidates that came to Philly for Change, at least, are Michael Lambert, Rania Major, George Twardy, and Greg Yorgi-Gurdy.
Okay.
Which I do like to say because I don't know, it makes me think of the Swedish chef.
Thank you so much, Beth. And I can tell you guys that Greg is phenomenal. Like, Greg is hands down a really, really phenomenal person. Those of you that live in Center City, I know that you've crossed paths with him. He is a huge advocate for the LGBTQ community. And as a Black male, Greg can tell you that we don't quite often get to see a large number of Black males serving on the bench, although we do know 60% of the defendants that go before the bench are primarily Black males. And Greg would make a fine judge. He's gotten endorsements from all over the city, and whomever meets him, it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, Greg just blows them away with his personality, his fair and even approach. And it would be really, really good to finally have more judges of color, definitely, and more judges representing the LGBTQ community on municipal court.
I'll speak in favor of Greg in the same fashion as I did for Maria and for Lori. Greg came to one of our voter registration tables last weekend, and he was very active as a committee person in the 48th ward, which is, I think, now an open ward-ish. But he's awesome, and I will probably be a bad guy in a way and flag that Michael Lambert was not recommended by the Bar Association, and this is a situation where the second ward didn't endorse as many people as a voter can vote for, and we only endorse Greg because we think he's head and shoulders above the other candidates.
So I just want to jump in there and just say this about the Bar Association. If you would go back and look at election after election, judicial election, and you look at the number of Black candidates that have not been endorsed by the Bar Association, and then you actually talk to the attorneys about the makeup of the Bar Association and the push for attorneys to change that makeup, there are, like, for example, there are judges that have not been recommended by the Bar Association in the past. Judge Sierra Street is one of them. She wasn't recommended the first time around, but she still won and she went. So I just want people to really take in consideration. It's simply a recommendation, and it's a recommendation from people that scrutinize them and ask them questions from a lens that everyday people don't have access to. But we do have access to the work of these attorneys, and we do have access to their character and how they interact with their clients. So I just want to make that a point.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak about it? Oh, go ahead, Marissa.
So I would like to speak on behalf of a candidate that I'm working with, Judge George Twardy. I've gotten to know George over the past 4 years and, on the campaign trail first, working with other candidates. And I was really impressed by how genuine he is. And I would just say that he is the same person today as a sitting judge that he has been for the past 4 years. And that really, to me, shows a tremendous amount of his character. I want to point out that he is one of 2 candidates that is recommended by the Philadelphia Bar Association. And, while I recognize that there are different opinions on the Bar Association, I've really grown to appreciate it as a law student, the thoughtfulness that really goes into the peer review. And I didn't really understand that before I was a law student, like really the kind of weight that goes into it, but really looking at the legal ability and the thoughtfulness and the cases and the adherence to the law. And that's really important. So I would urge everyone, not just to support George, my candidate, but also the other candidate, Gregory Yorgi Gergi, who I will speak about very briefly, at the end, but to encourage you, to support both of them for municipal court, as they are both recommended. And they're the only 2 candidates that are recommended by the Bar Association. Also, George Twardy is also widely supported by labor, which is so important to Philly for Change historically. He is endorsed by the AFL-CIO, the building trades, laborers, plumbers, carpenters, sprinkler fitters. I know I'm missing some, but it is, he has such widespread support, IBEW, and it's Local 19. And he has such a commitment to working people. And that's really what he's done for, he's a sitting judge now in family court, but for the last 30 years, he's had a general practice in a neighborhood where he's done lots of pro bono work and really just fought for everyday people. So, I'm a longtime member of Philly for Change. Yes, I'm working with George, as a paid person, but I'm so supportive of him personally. I think that he just represents our values, and we should really consider him. And so also I would also say some nice words about Gregory Yorgi Gergi. I'm not working with him as a paid person. I do know him through Liberty City, which I'm on the board. And Greg was on the board when I first joined, and he's, really got the character, and he's just so thoughtful. He's good at working with people. And he's recommended by the bar. So I would ask you to support him as well. Thank you.
We have a comment from Jim Jenkins again on Facebook Live. Now, first he says hello to Mariel, Karen, Aaron, and Marissa. I don't know what the rest of us are, just chopped liver or something, but but the 4 of you get a shout out anyway. And then he also says that George has his vote, and he votes labor candidates AFL-CIO. Go ahead.
I'll say that I was very impressed by Greg, and that I'm impressed by several of them. I was impressed by Michael, and I also and George and we don't get 4, but I'll also say that I've spoken to some progressive attorneys who were very impressed by Rania Major as well. Matter of fact, one of the people I had a conversation with was Larry Krasner before he was DA, and he said that Rania Major would make a good judge. Get to hang out with him for a while. Okay.
Any other
Yeah.
municipal court?
Somebody raising her hand.
Oh, go ahead, Mariel, go ahead.
Hi. So to be clear, total horse in the race. I work for Rania, and I think just to kind of build upon what everybody has been saying about her, she has also not only dedicated herself to the community, but the Democratic Party as well. I actually met her through the Federation of Democratic Women, and she's currently their attorney. So this is somebody that, you know, understands that a person is more than just one action that occurred in their life. And she's willing to really see a person for all that they are. And I think that's really important to have on, especially the municipal court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mariel, can I just say that I like your collection of masks on the wall behind you?
Oh my God, yeah, we went a little crazy.
Understandable. Any other people want to speak about any municipal court? Erin, go ahead.
Sorry, I came from a ward meeting, but where I heard a bunch of the candidates speak. And I just want to say, Gregory Yorgi Gertie is a friend. He's just to speak highly of his character. As a father, as a husband, as a neighbor, he's just incredible human being with nothing but love to share and give to people. And I really think, given his legal background and the recommendations that he has from the people who work with him, is just fantastic. And he just shows me personally everything I would want to see if I was ever before the court. And I hope that you'll all vote for him because I think the world of him.
All right, any more municipal court supporters? Just checking. Nope, nothing else on Facebook Live. Okay.
No
All
more
right.
comments from Jim?
No, he hasn't said anything else yet. We'll see. He may say something about our DA candidates or about our controller, Rebecca Reinhardt. We'll see. All right. Should we move on?
Sure.
Okay. So I think the next office is the district attorney. There are 2 candidates who spoke at Philly for Change, and there is 1 open seat. Maybe that goes without saying, but yes, you can vote for 1 person. And the 2 candidates were Larry Krasner and Carlos Vega. So
Beth, is Charles Peruto still running?
I think so, but he did not speak in front of us.
And I believe he's running as a Republican.
Yes, I think that's true.
He has his banner above Rotten Ralph's, I discovered on Easter walking on a long walk. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
I mean, not that we couldn't endorse a Republican. I suppose we could. We're technically nonpartisan.
Technically.
Yeah, we have described ourselves as a progressive Democratic group that sometimes endorses outside the party, but in special cases such as at-large city council seats.
All right. Well, would anybody?
Green. And we endorsed Al Schmidt once, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to jump out there and, throw my support behind Krasner. I've been very public about speaking up for, his critics. I personally, Krasner is one of those guys that, you'll be talking about him in some classroom, Krasner is the guy who marches to the beat of his own drum. He is not perfect. No one's perfect. And none of us could possibly know what it would feel like to be in his shoes. Krasner was out there taking cases long before it was popular to quote unquote, be a progressive. Krasner was standing up for the little guy who was being assaulted by the police, beaten by the police. Krasner was there, and it did not matter your ethnicity or your class, your socioeconomic status. That did not matter to him. What mattered to Krasner was truth and justice. And to know that Krasner reopened the case of the Sergeant Bologna, who, literally, I hope that girl's okay. We saw him on a video taking a bully stick and literally cracking this young lady's skull. And, we heard the FOP come to his defense and say that, they would save him or fight for him. And Krasner reopened that. And that is important, that no one operates above the law, and that our police officers, don't think that they can continue to operate with impunity. It gives Philadelphians no faith in our criminal justice system. So, and to know that Carlos Vega, as progressive as he says that he is, we go back and see that, a man served 25 years when we found out that there was DNA evidence that was very present, that was overlooked or not admitted. I'm not sure exactly what was the case with the evidence, but needless to say, Carlos Vega was a prosecutor that put a man in prison for 25 years of the rape of a senior citizen. And that man came home, and the city of Philadelphia pays out millions and millions and millions of dollars for that case. And not only that, Vega has accepted the donations from some of Donald Trump's biggest donors. He's being backed by the FOP. Carlos Vega, one of his biggest supporters, John McNesby, a man who felt comfortable as the president of the FOP, publicly saying that Black people should be put down like rabid animals. This is also a man that invited the Proud Boys to drink at the FOP Lodge here in the Northeast during the visit from Vice President Pence. So we had the vice president, we had McNesby, and we had a well-known white supremacist group drinking and palling around at the FOP. And it's disgusting to know that Carlos Vega would try to sell himself to Philadelphia as, a good DA, or a good DA that's going to crack down on crime in a way that makes us safe, but does not harm the communities of Black and brown people. But the people, the very people who are supporting his campaign, publicly say and do the opposite. So he's not a man that I could and would ever trust in that position. And Larry Krasner has my support and the other 4 votes in my household.
I have from Facebook Live, Jim says that, Aaron, he says that he will now vote for Gregory with your endorsement. So you carry a lot of weight. And he also says he confirms that Peruto is running and that he is supporting Carlos Vega at this point, although no details about why.
Wait, hold on. My understanding is that Peruto says that he's running now as like a placeholder, and if Krasner wins the primary, then Peruto will run in November. And if Vega wins, Peruto will not run in November, which that should be kind of a flag.
Sounds like Republican reinforcement to me.
Yeah.
I would agree. That's exactly what it is, in my opinion. Are there other folks who wanted to speak on this? I do have obviously I have a strong opinion and this as well.
I will just remind folks that Maggie, I think she had to leave, but she did speak in support of Larry Krasner earlier.
I would simply add that at a time when we are facing problems, Krasner is somebody who comes at the job with a great deal of competence. This is somebody who created a data lab for the DA's office that never had it. Someone who has been investing in the forensics unit because the police department is having trouble solving crimes. He has recruited people from the Obama administration, some of the top people from around the country to come and work here. And for those of us who have been working for years for social justice, he's finally made some steps. And if his making steps comes at a time when crime is going up around the country, whether you have a progressive DA or not, now is not the time to bail on social justice because of these strange circumstances of this past year. This is a person who reduced the amount of time that people will spend in prison by over 18,000 years in his term. We are finally making steps. Philly for Change was proud to have endorsed Krasner last time, and I really, really encourage folks to vote for Larry Krasner again this time. If there had been someone who was coming with a lot of great ideas to renovate the office in ways that Krasner was not, I would have taken that seriously. That is not what I heard. So that's what I. That's one of the reasons why, of course, I'm supporting Larry Krasner and ask that you do too.
We had a candidate forum. It was only committee people, but it is available to be viewed on our website, the Second Ward. And I think there are some minor yellow flags with Krasner, but many big blazing green flags. And I found during that forum, Krasner was authentic, and I think that Vega came in knowing his audience, saying things to us as the Second Ward that are probably very different than what he said, in other groups asking for their endorsement. And also about 30 seconds after each question we asked him, I had no idea what the question was anymore because he was not answering the question. So I do not find him to be any kind of serious. He's just not Krasner. He's running on being not Krasner. He's not running on anything other than being anti-Krasner. So that's my indictment of
Well, thank you, Chris. Is there anyone else that wants to chime in on the DA race?
I'll chime in real briefly. This is David. I'm supporting Larry Krasner because the reality is we have far too many people locked up in this country, especially in this part of the country in Philadelphia. And a disproportionate number of those people are people of color. And there is a tremendous amount of this secret racism that is endemic in the system. And Krasner's one of the few people that's really taken that on. And I really respect him for that. And that's why I'm supporting Larry Krasner.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Is there anyone else out there that wants to chime in? I know it's getting pretty late. It's 8:41. We're coming down to the drawing board. And Beth, this is the last one that we're going to discuss, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is also city controller, but Rebecca Reinhardt is the only one on the ballot on either side. And, though I'm sure she would be quite appreciative for our endorsement if we chose to give it to her.
And yeah, we love Rebecca, so you have to vote for her anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is probably it. If no one else has any comments, Sam?
That's all I have to say. There's a lot of people on the ballot, and we were lucky to have so many come and speak with us. And well, I hope folks will take in what they garnered from our experiences at Philly for Change, and cast their ballots accordingly.
So just to recap the process, the one last time, I think we will send out a link later tonight to the form where you can vote. That email will come from Sam. So, check your spam or your junk mail or whatever to make sure if you don't see it. And if you don't, reach out to Sam, or you can reach out to me or Melissa, and we can help you find it or send it again. When you get the form, you will be able to vote for up to the number of candidates that are available to vote for that seat. So you don't have to vote for the full 8 for Common Pleas, for example, or the full 3 for municipal, but you can. And we've only listed the candidates who spoke at Philly for Change. You can write in other candidates if you feel strongly about them. And if you want to review what they said to us, the past meetups are on our YouTube channel, so check that out and subscribe.
Okay, everybody. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out of your evening and away from your family and loved ones to join us here at Philly for Change. It's been a very busy month, a couple of weeks for us, but we did a great job, and we gave an opportunity for all the candidates to come and present. And as Beth and Sam stated before, we had a lot of really, really qualified and talented and just really impressive candidates to vote for. So as Beth said, you can, vote out the 8 or how many seats are available, 1 for Superior, 2 for Commonwealth, whatever it is, but the candidates that you definitely feel really, really strongly about, we all suggest that you vote for them. So on that note, Beth, can you let us know the date that we're going to come out with the endorsement?
Yes, well, so we're giving people a week, so we'll need you to vote by next Wednesday, the 14th. And then I expect just a couple of days after that, we'll be able to announce our endorsements.
Yeah.
And it's a 60% threshold, so that's pretty tough. So make sure that you vote for the ones that you want to endorse.
Okay, everybody, listen, we love to see you come, but we have to go. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your evening with us. We thank all of the candidates, of course, who come here and present, and we thank all of the staffers also that support the candidates that come on here and advocate. So with that, myself, Beth, and Sam, we want to bid you all adieu and have a wonderful night, and look for your emails. And as Beth said, check your spam mail. And if you guys don't get the link, feel free to reach out to either myself, Beth, or Sam. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night. Thank you.
See you, Aaron.
Good night.
Night, David. All right.